It had been almost 3 years since I'd felt like my whole world imploded, and I truly believed that chapter of my life was closed forever. Then one afternoon, I was at the grocery store, just grabbing some almond milk, and I heard someone say my name. I turned around, and there she was. Chloe. Standing right there in the produce section, holding a basket of organic vegetables, looking at me like I was a ghost. Chloe looked good. That was the first thing I noticed. Expensive good. The kind of polished, effortless appearance you get from regular salon visits and a closet full of designer clothes. Her hair was shorter, highlighted, her nails perfect. She had this whole successful woman aesthetic going on, the kind that would have totally intimidated the old me. But I wasn't that guy anymore. She smiled, a wide, bright smile, and started talking like we were just old friends running into each other after a casual break. But honestly, I felt nothing. No anger, no lingering hurt, not even any residual attraction. Just this distant, almost clinical curiosity about why she was talking to me at all. She asked how I'd been, what I was doing in Austin, if I was still in cybersecurity. All these surface-level questions, but her eyes kept darting around my face, like she was scanning for something specific, something she expected to see. I kept my answers short. Polite, yes, but definitely cold. And after about 2 minutes of what felt like painfully forced small talk, she finally got to the real question, the one she'd been circling, if I was seeing anyone. Yes, I told her, my voice level. I'm married, actually. And I watched her face just change. The smile tightened. Her voice went up half an octave as she asked for my wife's name, trying to sound casual, but it was all wrong. I told her, Sophia Chun, and started to turn back to my shopping, but Chloe grabbed my arm. She went completely pale. Turns out, Sophia and Chloe had gone to college together. Close friends during sophomore year, until something went spectacularly wrong. Sophia had told me bits and pieces about a friend from college who became obsessed with competing over everything, grades, guys, internships, clothes, until it stopped being a friendship and just became this toxic comparison. This friend had even copied Sophia's major, from marketing to physical therapy, applied to the same jobs, even tried dating a guy Sophia was seeing. When Sophia finally confronted her, the friend had a meltdown, accused Sophia of being jealous. They stopped speaking. Sophia said it was like realizing someone was never actually your friend, they just wanted a constant competition they could win. I'd never connected the dots, because Sophia had mentioned this was back when she used her middle name socially and didn't keep in touch with anyone from that period. But watching Chloe's face twist into something genuinely ugly, I suddenly understood exactly who that toxic friend had been. Chloe's whole demeanor shifted instantly. The fake sweetness vanished, replaced by this cold, assessing stare. She said Sophia's full name with dripping contempt, then added that it was interesting, and she didn't realize Sophia was my type. I asked what that was supposed to mean, and Chloe laughed. It wasn't a real laugh, it was a harsh, bitter sound, and she said something vague about how some people always land on their feet. I was done. I told her it was good to see her and started to walk away, but she followed me down the aisle, talking faster now. Asking where we lived, how long we'd been married, if Sophia still had her own practice, like that was somehow disappointing news. I finally stopped and turned around, looked her straight in the eye, and told her directly that I wasn't interested in catching up. That I'd moved on with my life, and she should do the same. Her eyes got this dangerous look I remembered from our relationship, that moment right before she'd flip into victim mode or rage, depending on what would get her what she wanted. She switched tactics immediately. Her voice got soft, almost sad, and she started talking about how she'd hurt me, how she thought about it all the time, how she'd made a huge mistake. I didn't respond. I just stood there, waiting for her to finish so I could leave. And she kept going, talking about how things with Lucas fell apart after a few months. How she'd been struggling. How she realized too late that I was the one who actually cared about her. She touched my arm again, so lightly, and said she wasn't asking for forgiveness. Just wanted me to know she was sorry, and if I ever needed anything, she was there. Then she handed me a business card with her new number on it. I took it because it was easier than arguing. Threw it away in the parking lot and drove home feeling like I needed a shower. That night, I told Sophia about it, describing the woman without using her name at first. I watched her face go from confused to shocked to utterly disgusted as she realized who I was talking about. She said Chloe's name with complete disbelief, then started laughing, this raw, disbelieving laugh, and told me that woman had tried to ruin her life in college. Sophia told me the whole story that night. How Chloe had befriended her freshman year, seeming normal at first, but slowly everything became a competition. When Sophia made the dean's list, Chloe had to make it too. When Sophia got an internship, Chloe applied to the same company. When Sophia started dating someone, Chloe suddenly found him interesting and started showing up wherever they were. The breaking point came when Sophia got accepted into a competitive physical therapy program, and Chloe, who'd been a marketing major, suddenly decided she wanted to do physical therapy, too, and accused Sophia of stealing her dream. They had a massive fight where Chloe said some truly cruel things about Sophia's family, her appearance, her worth as a person. All because Sophia had achieved something Chloe wanted. After that, they never spoke again. Sophia said she'd heard through mutual friends that Chloe had dropped out junior year and moved away. But she never knew what happened to her after that. Sophia explained that Chloe had hated her because she didn't need Chloe's validation. She was just living her life, and Chloe made it this whole competition Sophia didn't even know she was in. And when Chloe couldn't win, she tried to destroy it. Now here we were, years later. Sophia had built a successful practice and owned a house, while Chloe was clearly struggling. And that old resentment had come flooding back the moment Chloe realized I'd married the one person who'd never fallen for her act. The phone calls started 3 days later. Blocked numbers at weird hours, never leaving voicemails, just letting it ring until it went to voicemail and then hanging up. Then the fake Instagram accounts appeared, obvious burner profiles with random photos, all following Sophia's private account and requesting to follow mine, even though I barely use social media anymore. Sophia's clinic receptionist mentioned that someone had called asking weird questions about her schedule, her clients, whether she was taking new patients. We weren't stupid. We knew it was Chloe, but we didn't have proof. And blocking the numbers only worked until new ones appeared. Then she showed up at Sophia's gym. Not my climbing gym, but the regular gym where Sophia did her own workouts. Chloe just happened to be there on the treadmill when Sophia arrived, smiling and waving like they were old friends. Sophia ignored her completely, finished her workout, and left. That night, I told her we needed to take this seriously, because Chloe's pattern was escalating, just like it had in college. I did some digging, called Daniel, who still lived in my old city, and asked him to find out what happened with Chloe after she left. Turns out Lucas had dumped her after 5 months when he caught her messaging other guys. She burned through 3 jobs in 2 years. Her parents had cut her off financially after she stole money from them, and she was currently living in a shared apartment, working retail, and drowning in credit card debt. The successful appearance was completely fake. The designer clothes were probably knockoffs or bought secondhand. The polished look was maintained on a shoestring budget, and she was desperately looking for someone to save her from the consequences of her own choices. She'd apparently asked mutual friends about me multiple times over the years, whether I was single, where I lived, if I ever mentioned her. When she'd seen me at that grocery store, she thought she'd found her way out. But then she discovered I'd married the one person she'd never been able to compete with. The one person who'd seen through her act years before I did, and who had built everything Chloe pretended to have but never could. It had destroyed her. Sophia and I talked to a lawyer who helped us document everything, the calls, the fake accounts, the showing up at her workplace, all of it. We prepared a restraining order application, but decided to try one direct conversation first. In a public place with witnesses, where I could make it absolutely clear that there would be no reconciliation, no friendship, no contact of any kind. I met Chloe at a coffee shop downtown. I recorded the conversation on my phone with her knowledge because our state allows single-party consent, and I just laid out the facts. I told her I knew about Lucas, about her financial situation, about her asking around about me. And I said very clearly that I was not interested in being her rescue plan. She tried to cry, tried to say I was being cruel, tried to flip it into me attacking her, but I didn't engage with any of it. I just kept repeating that she needed to leave me and my wife alone, or we'd pursue legal action. Then I did something my therapist had suggested. I pulled out an envelope with $15,000 in it, a check I'd saved up over 3 years specifically for this moment, and I slid it across the table. I explained that this was what she took from me. Not just the money from our joint account, but the ring, the deposits, the loans, all of it added up to about this much. So, here it was. We were even now. She didn't owe me anything, and I didn't owe her anything. Chloe stared at the check like it was a bomb. I could see her brain working, trying to figure out the angle, trying to understand what I wanted in exchange. I told her I didn't want anything from her. I wanted her to take this, get some actual help from a real therapist, and leave us alone. And if she contacted me or my wife again after today, we'd file for a restraining order, and I'd send all the documentation to everyone we mutually knew. I put a business card for a therapist on top of the check, someone who specialized in personality disorders and manipulation patterns, and I stood up to leave. She grabbed the check, but not the card. And she said, "You think you're better than me now?" with real venom in her voice. And I looked at her one last time and said, "No, I just think I'm healthier. And I hope someday you can be, too." That was 8 months ago. We never heard from her again. The calls stopped. The fake accounts disappeared. Sophia's receptionist said nobody had called asking questions. Last month, Sophia told me she's pregnant. We're having a daughter in May, and sometimes, late at night, when I'm thinking about the future, I actually feel grateful that my lowest point led me here. The nightmare of that cancelled wedding, the financial ruin, the months of depression, all of it was horrible. But it also pushed me toward a life I never would have found if Chloe hadn't left. I don't forgive her for what she did, but I also don't hate her anymore. I just hope she figures out whatever she needs to figure out before she destroys someone else the way she almost destroyed me. What do you think about all of this?